My name is Erin Walker. I'm 43 years old, divorced for 3, and I live alone in a small cedar-shingled house just outside Asheville, North Carolina. I like quiet mornings, strong coffee, soft jazz, and solitude. Most days, I keep things simple and calm because I've had enough chaos to last a lifetime. But that morning was anything but calm. The steam still clung to my skin as I stepped out of the shower, wrapping the towel around me without much thought. It was early, barely 8 a.m., and I had no plans for the day other than laundry, a trip to the grocery store, and maybe catching up on emails I'd been dodging for days. I padded barefoot into the hallway, still drying my hair with another towel, when I heard it. Knock. Knock. I froze. No one ever just showed up at my door. Not without texting. Not without calling. For a brief second, I considered ignoring it. But something told me this knock wasn't one to ignore. I peeked through the peephole, and my heart stuttered. Jason. Tall. Broad shoulders. Blue Henley shirt. Slightly disheveled hair like he'd been driving with the windows down. And that look on his face, half uncertain, half hopeful. I hadn't seen him in months. Not since we tried to pretend we could just be friends. Jason Prescott was my best friend's younger brother. We met years ago, casually, at a 4th of July barbecue. He was 29 then. Charming, too confident for his own good, but smart in a way that didn't need to prove itself. I was 36, newly separated, and emotionally unavailable in all the ways that mattered. But somehow, we kept finding our way back to each other. First through shared holidays, then coffee runs, then helping one another move furniture or fix light fixtures. He made me laugh. He made me feel seen. And when we finally crossed that line, it didn't feel wrong. It felt inevitable. But the age gap, the family complication, the timing, it all got in the way. I pulled back first. Told him it was better to stop before we ruined everything. He didn't fight me. Just nodded and left with a sadness I couldn't forget. That had been nearly 7 months ago. And now here he was, on my porch, early morning, while I stood in nothing but a towel. I opened the door just a few inches. Jason? My voice cracked. His eyes widened a little when he saw me. Hey. I tightened the towel around my chest instinctively. It's 8 a.m. I know. I was driving through and he ran a hand through his hair, looked down at the porch. I wanted to see you. You couldn't have texted? I was afraid you wouldn't answer. He wasn't wrong. I probably wouldn't have. I glanced back toward the hallway, uncertain. Do you want to come in? I asked before I could stop myself. He hesitated, then nodded. Yeah. If that's okay. I disappeared into my bedroom to throw on a robe while he waited in the kitchen. When I returned, he was standing by the window, hands in his pockets, looking out at the morning fog curling through the trees. I made coffee because it gave my hands something to do. He sat at the counter, watching me like he always used to, like he was trying to read thoughts I hadn't said aloud. I know I should have called, he finally said. I know I shouldn't have opened the door, I replied softly. He smiled at that. A real one. The kind that used to make my knees weak. You look good, he said. I raised an eyebrow. I'm in a robe, Jason. Still. You look like you. I handed him a mug and leaned against the opposite counter, arms crossed over my chest. What are you doing here? He sipped the coffee first, buying himself a moment. I've been thinking about you. A lot. Jason. Wait, just let me say it. Please. I nodded. Braced myself. I tried moving on. Dated someone for a while. She was nice, smart, but it never felt easy. Never felt like home. And one night I realized I was still comparing everything to you. The way you talk. The way you laugh. The way you made me feel like I mattered. I looked away. That ache in my chest, the one I'd buried months ago, had started to wake up again. I came here because I had to know if you still felt anything. Or if I was just holding on to something that wasn't there anymore. I walked past him to the sink, staring out the window so I wouldn't have to face him directly. I never stopped feeling it, I said quietly. That's the problem. He turned to look at me. Then why did you push me away? I hesitated. Because you're 8 years younger. Because you're my best friend's brother. Because I didn't want to ruin your life. He stepped closer. You didn't ruin anything. You made me better. His voice was gentle, low, but firm in the way only truth could be. I was scared, I admitted. So was I. But I'm not anymore. I turned then. Really turned. His eyes were glassy, but steady. And I realized how much I missed that face. That warmth. I'm still in love with you, Aaron. The words hit me like a wave, familiar, terrifying, beautiful. And suddenly, all the distance we'd built between us over the months felt paper thin. I didn't mean to step forward. I didn't mean to reach for him. But I did. And when his arms wrapped around me, when his lips brushed my temple, I felt like I was home. He held me for a long time. Not like someone desperate, but like someone grateful. His fingers slid through the back of my hair, slowly, as I melted into his chest. My robe slipped slightly off one shoulder, and I didn't bother fixing it. There was something honest in how exposed I felt. Something vulnerable, but safe. I tilted my head up, and his eyes found mine. I missed your skin, he whispered. I swallowed hard. I missed your hands. He kissed me then. Not urgently. Not forcefully. Just tenderly. Like he didn't want to startle the moment. When we finally parted, we rested our foreheads together, breathing each other in. I'm not asking you to promise me anything, he said softly. I just want a chance to be with you. Whatever that looks like. We spent the rest of the morning on the couch, tangled up in each other, talking about everything we'd been afraid to say. About his doubts. My fears. The moments we both almost reached out and didn't. No rushing. No pressure. Just closeness. Eventually, I got up and made us pancakes in my robe while he sat at the kitchen table, flipping through the old photo album I kept under the bookshelf. Is this from our beach trip? He asked, holding up a picture of me, windblown and sunburned, laughing in oversized sunglasses. I smiled. That was the weekend you finally told me you liked me. And you said, well, it's about time. We laughed. It was easy again. By the time the afternoon light filtered through the kitchen window, Jason stood by the door, coffee thermos in hand, ready to head back into town. But he lingered. Can I come back tomorrow? He asked. I nodded. Only if you're okay with me being in a towel again. He grinned. I'm counting on it. He kissed my forehead, then turned to go. As I watched him walk down the path toward his truck, I realized I wasn't afraid anymore. Not of the age gap. Not of the complications. Because love, when it's real, finds its way back. Even if it has to knock on your door while you're still in a towel. Jason showed up again the next evening, this time with Thai takeout and that soft, hopeful look in his eyes. I had taken extra time getting ready. Not in a performative way, but intentionally. I wore a simple black sweater and soft jeans, no shoes, hair down. I wanted to feel grounded in my skin. Present. Beautiful, yes, but myself. When he walked in, he paused like he was seeing me all over again. "You look warm," he said with a crooked smile. "You look like you're trying not to be nervous," I shot back. We laughed, and that settled the air between us. We sat on the floor by the coffee table with wine and curry, like we had so many nights before everything got too serious. Somewhere between a bite of red curry and a second glass of wine, his hand found mine. Not in a rush. Not for show. Just because it fit there. After dinner, we settled on the couch. A record played, Bill Withers' "Ain't No Sunshine." We didn't say much. Just sat close, side by side, the kind of silence that felt more like comfort than emptiness. He turned slightly toward me and ran a knuckle along my cheekbone. "I miss the way your face relaxes when you're at peace," he said. I didn't reply. I didn't have to. His hand traced my collarbone, slowly, the same way he used to when we'd lie in bed with the lights off and nothing but each other to learn. My breath caught, but I didn't pull away. My body remembered him before my mind could argue. "Aaron," he whispered, his voice thick. "Tell me if this is too much." Instead, I leaned in. And when we kissed again, it wasn't with the hunger of strangers trying to recapture something. It was with the intimacy of two people who had never stopped knowing each other, only paused. That night, we didn't sleep together. Not because we didn't want to. Because we respected what this could be. We kissed. We held each other. My hands found the space under his shirt, his lips brushed across my shoulder and collarbone like a whispered apology for all the time we'd lost. But we took it slow. Deliberate. I fell asleep on the couch, my head on his chest. His heartbeat was steady beneath my ear, and his hand rested at the base of my spine like it belonged there. At 2:30 a.m., I woke up briefly. He was still awake, looking at the ceiling. "Jason?" I murmured. "Yeah." "What are you thinking?" He looked down at me. "I'm thinking I never want to wake up without you again." The next morning, we sat outside with coffee on the porch swing. The air was crisp, and he brought out the blanket from the couch to drape over both our laps. I turned to face him. "We need to talk about what this really is," I said. "I know," he replied. "And I'm ready." I swallowed hard. I don't want to tiptoe around the fact that I'm older. Or that we live very different lives. I don't want to start something again only to let it dissolve the first time real life gets hard. He nodded slowly. "Neither do I." There was a long pause. The kind that might have felt like a goodbye once. But not now. "Jason, I don't want casual." He reached for my hand. "Aaron, I drove 3 hours just to knock on your door and hope you'd open it. I don't want casual either. I want you. As you are. All in." The tears came without permission. I looked away to blink them back, but he gently turned my face toward his. "I know who you are," he said. "I know what we've both been through. And I still choose you." Over the next few weeks, we didn't rush. He stayed over some nights, went back to his place on others. We grocery shopped together. Fell into old rhythms. But this time, with intention. He started leaving little things at my place, his razor, his favorite hoodie, a book on my nightstand he said I'd love. I found myself looking forward to his laugh before it even arrived, smiling when I saw his truck pull into the driveway. One night, I found him sitting in my kitchen, barefoot, making a grilled cheese, humming to himself. I leaned against the doorway and just watched. "What?" he asked with a grin. "Nothing," I said. "You just look like you live here." He looked at me seriously then. "Do you want me to?" He moved in 2 weeks later. Not with boxes. With gestures. He replaced the dim hallway bulb I kept forgetting about. Fixed the leaky faucet. Moved his records into the cabinet beside mine and didn't care about alphabetizing them like I always did. He even started feeding the stray cat I kept claiming I wasn't adopting. And he kissed me every morning like it was our first. Every night like it could be our last. There were days we argued. Over dumb things. But this time, we talked. We didn't retreat into old fears. We showed up. Months passed. One rainy Thursday, I stepped out of the shower and heard the front door creak open. "Jason?" I called. "Yeah, it's me." I wrapped a towel around myself and stepped into the hallway. He was standing there, soaked from the rain, holding a bouquet of sunflowers. "For no reason?" I asked. He smiled. "For every reason." He kissed me gently, pulling me into his arms, towel and all. And as we stood there, wet, wrapped in love, no walls between us, I realized something. Sometimes, the love you think you've lost shows up at your door. When you're at your most vulnerable. When you're not ready. When you're just in a towel. But somehow, it shows up exactly when it's meant to.